Hello, hello. I have spent this morning reviewing some of your amazing testimonials, and I just can't say enough how these reflections honestly warm my heart and inspire me to keep doing what I'm doing because the power that you have seen in your life and what you're capable of is amazing. That's exactly what this challenge is for. It's to help you revive the connection with your body and inner trust and knowing that you are capable of healing and of optimal health. And that is exactly why I designed this challenge. So the purpose is being served. Please continue to share your reflections inside the app. It helps me get a feel for where you are. If you're hitting some resistance or something you want to celebrate, feel free to DM me. I am always there to respond and work directly with you on some of this stuff. I know life is busy, but I am here to support you. So today we are going to build off of yesterday's lesson, which was be, do, have. We're just going to continue to compound, and I'm going to give you another frame of reference as far as our thoughts creating our results. And we're going to work on another thought model. And this was created by Brooke Castillo, and it's absolutely an incredible tool to implement into our everyday lives because in reality, our thoughts don't mean anything until we give them meaning. A thought is just a thought. It's something that's passing through our head. And a lot of the time, our thoughts are of worst case scenarios that may never happen. Um, we've got a lot of things living rent free upstairs. And as we have already learned, we develop a feeling, an emotion based on the thoughts that we have. And we've been learning how we can reframe these, rewrite these, because that emotion, which triggers the chemical cascade in our body and can stimulate stress, overwhelm our nervous system, influence stress hormones, increase inflammation, right? It's very important to keep these in check because stress and inflammation are massive, massive players in chronic disease. And yes, our lifestyle and our nutrition can play and does play a huge role. But if we can get the stress and inflammation down and reduce the stress hormones and all of these things that we've learned this week play a role in our health, chronic pain, our weight, how we feel about ourselves, then we're ahead of the game. Everything else just compounds, right? And it sets us up for long-term success. And we can quit being on that yo-yo or that roller coaster ride of doing well and then quote unquote falling off the wagon. So we are going to jump into the CTFAR model, and you can use this for your health. And really, again, as with some of the other lessons in this program, in this challenge, you can apply it across the board to different areas of your life. But for our purposes, I want you to focus on carrying through what you've been focused on as far as a health goal is concerned. And this is an effective way to see how our mind is creating our reality. And we're going to use this just as another tool in our arsenal because sometimes things don't appeal to one person or another. What appeals to me may not appeal to you. Be do have may not appeal to you, and that's okay. Here is another resource that may appeal to you much more, or maybe they both do, or maybe they apply well at different times. So CTFAR, what is it? Again, this is a thought model, and the C stands for circumstances. T stands for thoughts. F stands for feelings. A stands for actions, and R for results. So everything we experience in our life, our emotions, our health, our outcomes, they can be traced back through this model. All right. Every single thing. And if you don't believe me, put it into practice. You can do it multiple times per day. You can just do it in your head. You can do it in your paper, on a piece of paper. You can do it in your head. And it is very clear as to how it works. So, C, circumstances. Let's break this down. These are all neutral, okay? It's factual. It could be within our control. It could be outside of our control, okay? These are just facts and they literally hold no meaning until our brain gives them meaning. And we're going to walk through this and show you exactly how it works. But a fact could be that you're experiencing pain somewhere in your body. A fact could be you would like to exercise more. Okay. A fact could be that you have a specific way that you'd like to nourish your body. All right. Now, T, thoughts. These are the meaning that our head and our brain gives a circumstance. Again, these circumstances are completely neutral until we give them meaning. So, a thought along the pain cycle would be, this pain means I'm not healing. Or something to the effect of a doctor's appointment. This appointment is going to be stressful. Or for nutrition, it is so challenging to eat healthy. Okay, for movement, I'm just too tired all the time. And there can be, if you're dealing with chronic pain and fatigue, this can be a very real situation, but we enhance it with our thoughts that we're thinking about it. Okay, feeling, we already learned that our thoughts create that chemical cascade, which leads to our feelings. All right. And this is the emotion that comes along with the thought after you're having it. Okay. So some emotions that you might feel when you're in this cyclical pattern are hopelessness, fear, frustration, stress, anxiety, or we can feel hope, peace, determination. And those are determined by the thoughts that we're having in that moment. A, action. Typically, our emotions are what drive action. Okay. Logic can play a role in some of our actions, but for humans, most of our actions are driven by our emotions. So, examples of this might be skipping a walk because you feel defeated. All right. You maybe didn't eat the way that you wanted to eat because you felt too stressed or you felt like you can't stick to something. All right. You give up on your plan because you feel like it hasn't worked so far, so it's not worth it. And then you find yourself starting over. All right. Now, these are negative examples, but there are positive examples as well. And we're going to walk through that. But then the result is the outcome that the action creates. Now, as you can see, when we focused on a circumstance with a negative thought, which has a negative feeling and a negative action, we typically get negative results. If we are not nourishing our bodies in the way that is supportive and promoting or promoting lowering inflammation, then we're not going to have results that equate to healing or lowering inflammation. So all of these things work together, and these results typically come back and confirm the thoughts that we had, right? So if we're having negative thoughts, which leads to negative feelings, which leads to negative actions, we breed negative results. So throughout this, we're going to learn how to flip this on its head and rewrite it. Again, another tool in your arsenal. And a lot of these lessons are interwoven and compounded or presented in a different way. But it's very important to reiterate these things because they are so important to give you these tools because, again, one might resonate with you more than another. So that's my goal here. This matters for healing, again, because our body is listening to our thoughts. And as we've learned, our thoughts can shape our biology. All right. So again, when we're producing those stress-based emotions, it takes us out of healing mode. So we want to reframe to shift our biology. We want to decrease adrenaline, decrease stress, increase healing hormones, okay? Endorphins. We want to promote cellular repair. We want to promote healthy digestion when we are stressed ball. Our gut is like, ugh, right? If you've ever been stressed or anxious, you know how that feels in your gut. There's a more difficult time digesting food. There's more bloating, discomfort, pain. All right. This is exactly why this work isn't just mental, it's physiological. All right. We were training our bodies and brain to respond differently to life. All right. So we're going to go through some real life examples. We're going to go through a traditional example and then we're going to reframe. And I've got a couple different examples for you, but example number one for a healing process, your circumstance might be that you still have symptoms. And the thoughts that might come along with that is nothing is working, which leads to feelings of hopelessness and being discouraged. We stop following through with routines. We isolate ourselves. We overthink things, and thus no progress is made, which then reinforces the belief that nothing works. Let me know if you're tracking with me on this. All right. I love, love, love talking about this stuff because it's so imperative on our journey. And it can really, really be groundbreaking for breakthrough. So, reframing this, your circumstance might be still that you have pain. Okay. But the thoughts is healing takes time. My body is already shifting in ways that I cannot see, which leads to feelings of being more calm and hopeful. So your actions build on that and you continue daily practice. You rest intentionally and you notice small wins. And your results are gradual progress that reinforce that healing is occurring. You see how different those two results are? And it all leads back to the thought that we had about the circumstance. The circumstance is neutral until we give it meaning. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't impact your life. It does. But the thoughts that we have about it are play are there's a domino effect, which leads to our results downstream. So to enhance our results, we must shift our perspective. All right. An example around nutrition. Your circumstance might be that you ate something ultra processed or that you know wasn't serving you. For me, it's usually French fries because I am a sucker for French fries. Okay. For some people, it's pizza. For some people, it's alcohol. All right. Now let's look at something that doesn't serve us. All right. The thought, I always mess things up. This leads to shame and guilt and frustration, which leads to an action of restricting, spiraling, or giving up. And this creates a result of inconsistent habits and self-sabotage. All right. Now keep that same circumstance of having the thing that you know doesn't support your overall health. Reframing the thought is one meal doesn't define me. My body is resilience. This leads to feelings of self-compassion and empowerment. So your actions, you move forward with alignment. You're not stuck, you're not spiraling. You choose for your next meal or your next day to drink water, eat nourishing foods, move on gracefully. All right. The result from this is consistency and balance, reinforcing the belief that you can trust yourself. All right. We'll do another example. Stress and anxiety is huge when it comes to our health. We often feel anxious about it or like there's not enough time or that we can't do all the things, so it's not worth it. But maybe you have a busy weekend. Maybe there's an event coming up and you know that you're not going to have time maybe to prepare foods that you would like to prepare. All right. Maybe you can't get in your movement or feel like there's not time to complete your physical therapy or practices that you know contribute to your health and serve you well. So your circumstances is that you have a busy day or a busy weekend coming up. Maybe family's coming in town, something like that. Your thought around that is, I just can't get anything done, which leads to anxiety and overwhelm. We freeze, we procrastinate, we lose sleep, and then we feel behind and exhausted, which leads to reinforcing of the thought of, I can't handle it, right? Nobody wants to feel that way. I recently felt that way about family and business, and I took a day and I had to do the mental work because all of it is flexible. All right. Reframing this, I can take one thing at a time. I always figure it out. This leads to feeling more calm and focused. You can prioritize, you can delegate tasks, and then you can just take a breath. The results of this lead to completing tasks with more ease and feeling capable, confident, and competent of accomplishing what you set out to. Now, you may not be able to do all the things that weekend, and that's fine, but prioritize, delegate, and have faith in yourself. All right. So, this shows you that you always have agency, you have control over your thoughts. You may not have control over the circumstances, but you always have control over your thoughts, which again has that downstream effect on your feelings, actions, and results. All right. You don't have to fake positivity. You just have to shift. Find what works for you. Something else that you can always do is, and this can be a little bit uncomfortable at first, but put yourself in that worst case scenario. What if I can't get it all done this weekend? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Chances are everyone's still going to be alive, right? There's not going to be some massive financial loss. We're not going to be homeless or without a car. We're going to be blessed to be able to have our needs met in these ways. A lot of the time we think these circumstances mean impending doom. Our brain is trying to protect ourselves, but actually put ourselves in the worst case scenario and then think, is that actually going to happen? And remind yourself how much power you have in that moment. So just reflecting, and I apologize, I've not been able to get to the workbook yet. So for right now, please just use the app for the reflection questions. If you'd like to journal, I've got some journaling prompts for you. But you can notice just some of these circumstances and how you are thinking and feeling. And you can literally write it down, CTFAR, vertically. And you can write down what you're experiencing now, and then you can shift the reframe. Okay. So just write CTFAR twice. Do your current circumstance, thought, feeling, action, results, and then reframe it. All right. How can we shift it so we can shift our results? All right. Remember, these circumstances do not dictate your results. How we think, feel, and act on them do. So let me know in the app if you have done this today. Tell me about your CTFAR and your reframe. What new thoughts are you choosing today to move forward? With that being said, I will let you go. I hope this was helpful. Please keep up the reflections. I love seeing them, and I will talk to you later. Bye.